This is another of the videos in a series that I'm doing about what makes a muscle grow. And I've done two before this one. I don't know that they necessarily need to be watched in order, but I just want to add to the discussion at this point. So what we know so far about what makes a muscle grow is we have to stimulate it to grow. We have to create a need for it to grow. And that's when we go into the gym and we stimulate it, but we don't damage it. We don't tear it down. We insult it. We give it a stress that tells it that we're going to demand more from it. And we talked about in the second video what kind of stress that particularly needs to be. And that is stress that creates tension along the long axis of the muscle as it contracts. The long axis, the force and the tension along there. And that stimulates the muscle to grow. And so let's say you go into the gym and you do the right amount of training. You stimulate it with the kind of stress that it needs, tension, and you don't do too much, you don't do too little, you train just right. You're at the point now where you've done exactly half of your job. So this is the part that people pay a lot of attention to. What goes on in the gym, the sets, the reps, the percentages, the types of exercises, how to do the exercises. Everybody gives a lot of attention to that. And that's just the stimulus for growth. None of the growth happens in the gym. The gym is a place that you get tired, fatigued, worn down. You leave the gym weaker than when you came in. Nobody gets bigger and stronger in the gym. That's just a place to set the stimulus, to create the need, to tell the body that demand has to be up. It has to adapt. And so that's half the job. The other half is what I want you to consider now, is what are you going to make the muscle grow out of? What are the building blocks that you're going to use to build your muscle up? Now, so you've stimulated it to grow, and we'll talk about the processes that go into building muscle. But before we do that, what do you plan to build your muscle out of? Where are you going to get that material? So muscle is a real thing. It's matter in the universe, and it has to be built from more matter. And so you have to eat matter in the form of food to create building blocks that the body can use to make more muscle out of. You can't just build muscle out of effort in the gym. You can't build it out of air. You have to build it out of food. So let's make it like one thing super clear. For muscle to grow, it has to have matter that it can incorporate into itself to become new muscle tissue. You have to have the building blocks there. You have to eat. So make no mistake, if you train harder and harder and harder, but don't eat commensurately harder and harder and harder, you can't build muscle. You can't build muscle on hard work. You need the hard work, but you don't build muscle out of hard work. You build muscle out of food. So make sure that you get enough food. We'll talk briefly about that. I mean, everybody has all kinds of opinions about nutrition. And I don't want this to be about that. I just want this to be about the fact that you need to put in a lot of extra food if you want to make extra muscle. That's reasonable, right? You can't eat the same. If you're a 185-pound man, you want to be a 225-pound man, you can't eat like a 185-pound man. You must eat like a 225-pound man if you want to become a 225-pound man. You can't keep eating like a 185-pound man if you want to become a 225-pound man. So that's reasonable. That just makes good common sense. But you'd be surprised how many people want to keep their diet the same and just train harder and build muscle. And I don't know what they're thinking they're going to build the muscle out of. I don't think they've considered it, actually. They just think the hard work will somehow make more muscle. But ask yourself this question: what am I building the muscle out of? And the answer has to be food. That's the only way you can get matter into your body. So people think, they talk about the building blocks of amino acids that come from proteins. And so yes, there has to be a good quality source of protein that provides all 8 essential amino acids. And that's super important, and you have to have enough of it. But you don't have to have, that's important to have, and let's just leave it at that. It's important to have enough protein. But it is also important enough to have enough energy in the form of fats and carbohydrates, specifically carbohydrates, to be able to run the systems that take those building blocks of protein, those amino acids, and build them into the house that your muscle is. So if I want to build a house, and I want to build a bigger house, I need to deliver some bricks to my work site. And that's important. You got to have bricks to build the house out of. But delivering more and more and more bricks, when I don't have enough workers to put the bricks into the wall, to build them into the wall, is useless. So the bricks are like the amino acids, the proteins. But the workers that provide the energy to build the house, to build the wall, to incorporate the building blocks into something bigger, are carbohydrates, basically. You can do it from fats too, but the body prefers carbohydrates. And so I just want to point out that you need a lot of food and you need a little surplus of bricks, but delivering more and more bricks without delivering more and more workers to help you build the wall. You know, one guy working on a wall, you can say, I want the house bigger, I want the house bigger, I want the house bigger, and eat tons and tons and tons of protein, but it's going to be hard to, I got a crazy cat over there. It's going to be hard to put those bricks into something meaningful in enough time for you to get back to your workout, your next workout, if you don't have the energy system in place to do that. And that's carbohydrates. And I can make them a case in a different video about carbohydrates, fat, and protein. But I just want to point out this one fact. You've done half your work when you got the right stimulus. The other half is you have to supply the nutrients, the food. And I don't want to get into the specific types of food. That's another topic. I just want to point out that oftentimes and I did this myself as a young man, I did a lot of really hard work and I didn't get very far because I worked hard in the gym alone. And I did not work hard at the training table, eating. So you have to balance the increase in work and proper stimulation with proper nutrition. And I'm just talking amount. You have to eat more than you are eating now if you want to grow. So there's another installment of this idea of what makes a muscle grow. And I'll bring up some more of these ideas later. Give this some consideration. Think about what you're doing in your training and how much attention you're paying to that. And then how much attention and how much discipline and how much drive do you have to eat to cover that training. So there you have it. Thanks for listening.